Hey guys, it's Destiny, and today we're going to be going over Cipher's kit, team synergies, builds, and her overall value now that I've been able to test her out early, and I'll also be able to give some clarifications regarding her ultimate, her patron mechanic, and much more. Before we begin today's video though, let me know which character you are the most excited for between Cipher, Phainon, Saber, Archer, or even if there's any reruns you are looking forward to. Lastly, if you do enjoy videos like these, do make sure to subscribe, hit the like button to support the video, and now let's get straight into it. Starting off with Cipher's kit, Cipher is a Quantum Nihility character who focuses on debuffing enemies, dealing follow-up attacks, and one of her most unique traits consists of recording the damage dealt onto enemies in order to have the potential to deal a massive amount of damage with her ultimate. Starting off with Cipher's basic attack, she'll deal damage onto a single enemy. As for Cipher's skill, she'll attack an enemy in adjacents and she'll have a 120% base chance to weaken that enemy in adjacents, which will decrease the amount of damage that enemy deals by 10%, and Cipher's attack will also increase by 30% for 2 turns, which can assist with her personal damage output with that attack buff, and also depending on the primary target with her skill, you can change the current patron on field. Speaking of the patron mechanic, this is a huge part of Cipher's kit. Cipher's talent will immediately cause one enemy with the highest max HP on the battlefield to become the patron if there are no enemies on the field with this effect. And when an enemy with patron is attacked, Cipher will record 12% of the non-true damage dealt onto that enemy. How much she has recorded will be visible on the normal battle screen, which 1 coin on screen is equal to 1,000 damage recorded. But for the exact number, it'll be visible in the stats screen within battle. The damage recorded will factor into the damage she deals with her ultimate. Additionally, Cipher will deal a follow-up attack whenever an ally attacks the enemy afflicted with the patron effect once per turn. Now you may be wondering, what about the other enemies on field? Will any of that damage dealt to them be recorded? One of Cipher's traces will allow Cipher to record 8% of the non-true damage that allies deal to enemies aside from the patron. This is highly beneficial in scenarios where you're using Cipher alongside an AoE or blast damage dealer, as now you'll be able to benefit from the extra amounts of damage these allies are dealing onto enemies aside from the patron, and this will be recorded for her ultimate. For example, if you're using her with a character such as Acheron, Castris, and so on. Now for Cipher's ultimate, it'll cost 130 energy, and Cipher will be able to take advantage of the damage she has recorded throughout the fight. To begin, Cipher will deal quantum damage onto one designated enemy, then she will deal 25% of the recorded damage to that designated enemy as true damage, and also deal quantum damage to that designated enemy in adjacents, as well as now deal 75% of the damage recorded as true damage, and this will be split evenly between the 3 targets. So to clarify on how this ultimate works, from what I've been able to test, she will deal 25% of the damage recorded to the designated enemy, and then split the remaining 75% between that same designated enemy and adjacents, which basically results in 50% true damage dealt onto the primary designated enemy and 25% dealt onto each adjacent. I was able to also test this out in a single target scenario, which her ultimate will hit that designated enemy by 100% of the damage recorded as true damage, and this allows you to not waste any of the damage recorded as a result. Her ultimate is highly reliant on how much damage the team is dealing onto enemies for Cipher to record and take advantage of with her ultimate. Her ultimate can be very useful in dealing a significant amount of damage onto enemies, and let's say in a Memory of Chaos scenario, you can consider holding Cipher's ultimate until the boss's second HP bar to have an easier time of dealing with it, as shown in one of my latest showcases. Or if you were close to defeating an enemy and weren't able to do so, Cipher can help with closing that gap and finishing off that enemy. Cipher's ultimate is unique when it comes to the potential it can provide in numerous scenarios. And when it comes to important details regarding Cipher's ultimate and her patron mechanic, her ultimate deals true damage with the recorded damage value. True damage completely ignores things such as damage reduction, an enemy's defense, and so on. However, true damage will also ignore the buffs from the team or debuffs on enemies. The recorded value you have on Cipher is how much damage she will deal onto that enemy with her ultimate in regards to her true damage. Additionally, when it comes to recording damage, do keep in mind that Cipher only records non-true damage, and she will also not record overflow damage. For those curious what overflow damage is, This means that any damage dealt to an enemy that goes beyond their health will not be added to Cipher's recorded value. When it comes to playing Cipher, in most scenarios, I hold her ultimate until the second HP bar of a boss, just to deal a bunch of damage with all the damage we have now tallied for her ultimate, and also having an easier time with that second HP bar. Now, as for Cipher's remaining chases, one of them will increase the crit damage dealt by her Talon's follow-up by 100%. This will assist with Cipher's personal damage output, and when Cipher is on the battlefield, the damage received by all enemy targets will increase by 40%. This trace is considered a vulnerability debuff and can be seen as a 1.4 times damage amp to the team simply by having Cipher on the field. Cipher will allow teams to deal more damage onto enemies with this trace, which can allow her to be slotted into numerous teams as they can nicely take advantage of this trace. As for Cipher's final trace, when Cipher's speed is greater or equal to 140, her crit rate will increase by 25% and the recorded value will increase by 50%. And if her speed is greater than or equal to 170, her crit rate will increase by 50% and the recorded value by 100%. This trace heavily indicates a speed goal for Cipher, which will be 170 or higher to maximize her trace and take advantage of the huge 50% crit rate boost, as well as the recorded value being increased by 100%, which means the damage recorded from damage being dealt to the patron is now going to be 24% rather than 12% being recorded, and her trace from earlier will now be 16% damage recorded rather than 8% on non-patron enemies as long as you have 170 speed or above on Cipher. As for Cipher's mini chases, our favorite cat will be getting 14 speed, 14.4% quantum damage boost, and 10% effect hit rate. The speed and effect hit rate helps nicely when it comes to reaching stat goals for Cipher. Lastly, Cipher's technique will make her undetectable from enemies and increase her movement speed by 50%. Cipher will have a chance to obtain a random consumable when approaching enemies, up to 50 items per day. And lastly, Cipher will deal quantum damage onto all those enemies, and it'll increase the recorded value Cipher obtains from this instance of damage by 200%. Overall, Cipher has a very interesting kit when it comes to her patron mechanic, and now that we've gone over her kit, let's go over some team synergies. So when it comes to Cipher's team synergies, two very noteworthy ones that I have showcased on the channel would be Acheron or Feixiao. When it comes to her synergy with Acheron, Cipher can debuff enemies with her skill, and she'll also fulfill one of Acheron's Nihility wants when it comes to Acheron's trace, the Abyss. Cipher can assist with allowing the team to deal more damage with her trace, and Cipher being able to record the damage that the team deals onto enemies can allow her to assist with defeating a boss alongside Acheron with her ultimate. Additionally, since Cipher will be built to be fast, specifically the 170 plus range to maximize her trace, she can assist with frequent debuff application, and her follow-up attack will also assist with this, especially if you do have her signature light cone to consistently get Acheron stacks for her ultimate. As for Feixiao and Cipher teams, Cipher having a follow-up in her kit as well as being able to have frequent turns due to her having high speed can assist with generating Flying Aureus stacks for Feixiao. And Cipher's trace can assist with the team dealing more damage onto enemies, and her ultimate can assist with handling bosses as well. As for non-Acheron or Feixiao teams, Cipher can be used in numerous teams when it comes to her recording the damage dealt onto enemies and allowing the team to deal more damage onto enemies in general with her trace. She can be an interesting flexible option, and while she may not be the best in slot for some teams, she could still be used as a flexible option overall. For example, she could be a fun option alongside Castris, Aglaya, Dr. Ratio with her debuff application, the Herda, Anaxa, Mighty, and much more, as they could take advantage of the vulnerability she provides by being on the field, and it allows her to be a general flexible slot for teams, as mentioned. Now, when it comes to building Cipher, for her relics, we'll be looking at Pioneer Diver of Dead Waters, Genius of Brilliant Stars, two-piece speed sets to assist with reaching the 170 goal if you are struggling a bit, and Eagle Twilight Line would be a more niche option, but this one can be an option if you intend to use her ultimate a bit more frequently rather than holding on to it throughout a fight. Now for Planars, I would recommend Glamoth. Duron Dynasty can be an option for follow-up teams, Izumo can be an option on Acheron teams, you can consider Inert Salcedo, but you also could consider a more supportive planar, such as Lushaka for an attack scaling damage dealer on the team. I personally would recommend Lushaka in the case of further buffing your main damage dealer, assuming they are of course attack scaling, or Glamoth for Cipher's offensive set. For main stats, you'll be looking at crit damage or crit rate body piece, but do keep in mind Cipher will get 50% crit rate if you maximize her trace, so crit damage here is preferred. For boots, you want speed, quantum or attack orb, an attack or energy regen robe. If you intend to hold her ultimate throughout the entire fight and use it during the boss's second HP bar, in this scenario, you should probably just go with attack, as you're not really going to use her ultimate too frequently here, so I did want to point that out. As for substats though, you'll be looking at speed, crit damage, crit rate, and effect hit rate up to 39% to ensure that she'll inflict the weakened state onto enemies with her skill, and she does get 10% effect hit rate through her traces, so this will assist with reaching this goal. Now, if you do equip Resolution on her, you may want to consider 67% effect hit rate instead. As for her speed, you'll want 170 or above speed in combat, 50% crit rate to have 100% in battle, as her trace will increase her crit rate by 50% as mentioned earlier, and for crit damage, I would try to aim for the 160 range or above. If it ends up being lower though, that's fine. The main priority is trying to reach the 170 speed or above in combat. Now for light cone options, you'll be taking a look at her signature, Resolution Shines Pearls Sweat, you can consider Good Night Sleep Well, Incessant Rain, and so on. Her signature though does provide a good amount of value, as it'll increase her speed, allow her to reduce enemy defenses, and she can actually consistently reapply this debuff, which nicely assists with stack generation for Acheron. When it comes to Cipher's value, she could be a pretty flexible option for numerous teams as mentioned, and while she may not be best in slot, she could still end up working as a nice option. Now, for those who are more interested in 3.4 or already feel pretty content with their teams and the characters on them, then I would just say to aim for the character you're most anticipating. If you love Cipher, you want to pull her, you really like her kit, she could be a nice option for you. But if you're more interested in Phainon and the Fate collab, then I would say to consider skipping the second half for what's to come in version 3.4. If you're on the fence for who to pull between 3.3 and 3.4, I would highly recommend you hold off on pulling on the new banners for the second half release, so when Cipher comes out, and instead wait for the 3.4 livestream to see more official information on the upcoming characters to get a better idea of which character you want the most for your account. It'll also provide an opportunity to see as well what buffs Silverwolf will get, and if she may become a stronger consideration to use for Acheron teams than before. So in my personal suggestion, if you are highly on the fence, I would strongly recommend waiting until later into the second half of the banner just to see if you end up wanting the future characters a bit more. I would love to know though what you all think about Cipher, if you plan to consider pulling for her or if you are going to potentially skip her instead. I hope you all did enjoy this video, and if you did, do consider subscribing, leave a like to support the video, and I hope to see you all next time. Peace.